Today we're going to be talking about cutting off toxic people, okay? This can be a fake friend, this can be a manipulative ex, this could be a drama-addicted cousin. Cutting off toxic people can be hard, but it does not have to be, okay? We're going to be talking about all of the signs to look out for to see if someone is truly toxic, because this is a word that is thrown around a lot. You know, this is toxic, that is toxic. Just because you find someone annoying, or maybe because you've had some disagreement with them, that does not make the person toxic. We first have to recognize if they're really someone to cut off. And also you have to see if you are the toxic one. You never take responsibility. You're always in these situations where people start acting weird or ghost you. You know, you're always the victim. That's a red flag. So you first have to recognize maybe I'm the problem, but maybe not. Especially for those of you who avoid confrontation, right? Who try to be super agreeable all the time. It's not gonna work. It might work for a little while, but eventually you're gonna run into someone who you're gonna have to have that difficult conversation with, even if you think it's awkward, even if you're thinking, oh, but I don't like to start anything on it. No. But again, there's a huge difference between someone who is draining you, who's talking behind your back, who's disrespecting you, who's fake, and someone who didn't comment on your selfie and, oh, block, they're so toxic. No. Okay, relax. We're gonna get into these differences. It's so important to recognize who's actually the toxic one. They all turn on me. Oh, well, maybe there's a reason for that. Yeah, you have to zoom out. And a great way to do this actually is to ask someone that you trust, someone who will say, hey girl, you're overreacting here. You're being dramatic. You're in the wrong. Not just a yes man or yes woman because they think that's what you want to hear. No, okay? You have to go to someone who you trust, who you know is not going to sugarcoat it. Maybe go to multiple people, right? And tell them what happened. Tell them the story, but don't embellish anything. Don't lie. Don't make yourself this little angel. Everyone else was after you. Just say what actually happened. That outside perspective can be so valuable. Get their opinion, okay? But let's say that that's not the case. Let's say you're not the problem. You have to cut someone off. That can be a little tricky, especially if it's someone that you've known for a while. And then you start feeling guilty. And then you think, oh yeah, but what about all the fun times we've had together? What about all of the birthdays? And we have a similar sense of humor and all these things. And yet they've lied to you. They've manipulated you. They are gaslighting you. Toxic people thrive on you being too nice, you being too forgiving, you saying, wait, okay, let me give them a second chance. Let me give them a third chance, a fourth chance. No, what is that? Personally, I don't believe in second chances. If someone shows me who they are, I believe them. But again, so important, I say this all the time, forgiveness does not mean access back into your life. If someone betrays you, if someone proves to be a terrible friend, what are you going to open the door for them and say, yeah, come and do it all over again? We're talking about people who twist your words, who compete with you, who get jealous when you grow. This is not normal behavior for anyone who you're trying to have a healthy relationship with, a family member, a friend, a partner. We're talking about individuals who are truly narcissistic and people who actively try to make your life worse. They're not just imperfect, they're draining, okay? They take and take and take, and when you say, hey, I'm at my limit here, something's gonna have to change, they get very offended, okay? They turn it on you. One example is the guilt tripper. Oh, okay, I didn't know you have other friends now. As if like you can only be friends with them. Or, oh, okay, I guess you're just too busy to hang out with me. I guess you don't care about me. Like, there's always something. They're always upset, even though you are making an effort to like see them, for example, to hang out, to spend time with them. It's never enough. And they always try to make you feel guilty. It's not just setting boundaries. They're trying to manipulate you to get you to apologize for something that was not even wrong. I straight up knew this person. They got very upset when I would hang out with other people, as if I could only hang out with them. Guess you're too busy for me. I guess you don't care about me. Like, I can care about multiple people. A confident person, a normal friend, does not feel so threatened when you're hanging out with someone else. You also have the backhanded complimenter. I could never be so confident with your insert flaw. It could be physical, it could be a personality trait. So you're left wondering, okay, was that a compliment or an insult? Or it's like, wow, you're actually really good at that. You're actually really smart. I had no idea, would have never thought. Bye. What is that? Trying to tear you down in a way that makes them look generous. And I think the one that annoys me most is the one-upper. No matter what you're going through, they've had it worse or better or louder. You can be like, wow, I've had a really difficult week, right? And they'll be like, that's nothing. You should have seen my month and I didn't even say anything. Or you can say, wow, I'm really proud of this project. And they can be like, well, you didn't see what I did. I worked twice as hard and I didn't even mention it. Okay. They never allow you space to feel anything or to say anything, to be proud. They turn every conversation into a competition and they just have to win every time. They're toxic. And we have the constant victim. The world is out to get them. They never take accountability. Their boss is evil. Their ex is evil. Their entire family is evil. Somehow everyone's the problem and they never are. Yes, life can be very difficult. Yes, people go through very real trauma. But if you're always the victim and you never reflect on your role in the situation, in any conflict, that's a red flag, okay? Plus, if someone is constantly talking about these problems to you, you have to remember you're not a therapist. They're not paying you for that. If they're constantly venting, for example, they're not letting you vent, they're not really listening to your problems, you do not need that. There's the drama addict. They live for chaos. If nothing is going wrong, they're going to create something. They're going to start some drama. They lie for no reason, which is the craziest thing. They can say, yeah, I had cereal for breakfast and they had oatmeal. I don't know why they do this. They're always fighting with someone, okay? And they like to say, oh, okay, I don't want to gossip, but... and then they gossip for 45 minutes. And there's a big difference between venting and saying, okay, what this person said to me really bothered me, and this is what I'm going to do. What do you think, right? And getting some advice from a friend, that's one thing. But if they're just gossiping about someone and there's no plan to confront them directly and to voice their concerns with that person, that's being a coward and a gossiper. Terrible mix. They're just thriving off of that negative attention, off of talking negatively about other people. And they try to drag you in so they can have someone by their side. You'll kind of know when you're dealing with someone like this because you'll feel worse after hanging out with them. There's also a flaky, self-obsessed kind of friend, and they don't put in as much effort as you are into actually meeting up, right? Or they'll cancel last minute, or when you do hang out, they'll only talk about themselves. The difference is that a flawed individual, they will mess up and they will own up to it and they will take accountability and they will try to do better. A toxic person, they'll make you feel guilty for noticing when you messed up and they'll flip it on you. They won't really grow, okay? They're going to deflect. They'll gaslight you, they'll dismiss you. They won't really reflect on anything and they will not try to meet you halfway. It's really about patterns. If you're noticing that someone is doing the same thing over and over and over again, you have to use that pattern as proof, because it might be a difficult thing to hear, but no matter how much you try and change the person, no matter how patient you are with them, take a look at their behavior. Okay, it's one thing to say you're going to change if they're not changing, or if they're constantly blaming like their trauma, for example. I hurt people now because I was hurt in the past. Doesn't matter. Okay, that's never an excuse. It's your responsibility to grow. It's your responsibility to change. I don't care what happened to you in the past. It does not give you a free pass to hurt other people. But they say they'll change. But they say, they promise. The pattern is the proof. Look at the behavior. So let's talk about how to actually walk away, how to cut them off, okay? Because this is the hard part. You may have all the information. You may know that this person is not good for you, but you might have a fear of confrontation. That made me uncomfortable. That crossed the line. That was disrespectful and I'm not going to put up with it. So either you change or we should not talk anymore, period. You're going to have to learn how to have these difficult conversations or you're going to end up like a doormat, allowing everyone to walk all over you. That's gross. This can be especially difficult for those who always try to keep the peace in the household. So they don't like confrontation. They don't want any more drama. They're kind of afraid of it, okay? I totally get it. Again, you're going to have to get over it. Easier said than done, yes, but it is crucial. You do not have to start with a dramatic call out, but it does get easier with practice. So you do have to start somewhere. Also, some people feel guilty and they start thinking about all of the birthdays and all of the fun moments and all the inside jokes. And okay, they might have been a good friend in the past or a good partner or whatever, does not mean they're good now. Okay, people change, sometimes in a good way, sometimes in a bad way. And sometimes you grow, both of you, or only one of you, but sometimes you grow in opposite directions. People change, that's life. Sometimes you're gonna have to walk away. And I do understand that it's a whole nother level when it's a family member, but I do think behavior is what matters in this relationship. You can say, oh yeah, but they're related to me. Okay, but they're abusive emotionally or physically, and what, you're just gonna say, oh, but we're related. No, related or not, you cannot allow someone to abuse you. Hello? Absolutely unacceptable. Just because someone's family does not give them a free pass to mistreat you, to hurt you. There's also this trap of trauma bonding. Maybe someone was there for you when you had just moved or when you were at a very low point, your mental health was at an all-time low. If this person is now draining you, abusing you, lying to you, manipulating you, it does not matter what happened in the past. A healthy bond can survive growth and change, but a trauma bond often falls apart as soon as that person starts to grow. It wasn't built on real stability in the first place. Maybe you're saying, but what if I look mean? Okay. So you're going to care about what other people think of you? Does that one difficult or awkward moment where you have to confront them matter more than how you feel 24/7 because of this toxic person? Newsflash, it's your life. In the real world, people have opinions about other people. You cannot control that. And if someone thinks you're cruel for walking away from toxicity, they were probably never rooting for you in the first place, okay? I'm going to tell you a personal story. It's about this girl I was friends with. We're going to call her Sarah, okay? And Sarah was once very funny, very vibrant. We got along very well. And then she started to smoke a lot of weed. And I talk about drugs a lot because I was surrounded by many people that smoked, that drank excessively. And she started to befriend those who made smoking and drinking their entire personality. And over time, Sarah completely changed. She did not care about school anymore. Her grades were terrible. She only wanted to party, smoke, and drink. And that did not align with my values. And I tried to be very patient with her. I told her, hey, can't we talk about something else? Can we leave weed out of this conversation for once? I was very clear with her because I've noticed how it affects people's ambition, how it affects their grades, how it affects their self-respect, their energy levels, their focus. I can't deal with it. And I told her that, and I was very patient with her. And it got worse and worse and worse, and it all started from this one girl that she started to be friends with who was stealing things, who was drinking all the time. So while at first I was trying to make up excuses, I was saying maybe she's just going through a phase, maybe she'll grow out of it, she'll stop eventually. I saw that it was not going to change, and I also thought, you know what? I chose to be her friend. That also means I have the choice not to be anymore. There was no big fight, but I just stopped making myself available to hang out. Some more signs you have to look out for to see if you need to cut someone off is if you constantly have to walk on eggshells around them, right? You feel like, oh, if I say it this way, that might set them off. They're gonna be offended. I can't be myself. I have to silence myself. I have to censor myself. Or you always feel worse after talking to them. You have to prepare. Real friendship, right, does not require you to prepare for battle when you're gonna hang out. That's ridiculous. This is an obvious sign that something is wrong and you probably should not be hanging out with this person. If you're constantly walking away from that hangout feeling worse, feeling judged, yeah, that's not great. That's a sign. The whole point of spending time with people you love is to feel lighter, okay? To get some advice, to feel some connection. It's not to feel drained or annoyed. No, you need better friends then. And if you ever bring up these concerns and they gaslight you, you're being dramatic. That never happened. Trying to dodge accountability, right? That's going to chip away at your self-trust eventually. You cannot stay in that environment. Also, if they're two-faced, they're completely different people. When they're with you, when they're with someone else, you can't trust those kinds of people. And again, the goal is not to find someone perfect. You won't. No one's perfect. But find people that hold you accountable, right? Who are honest. But how do you actually do it? Let's say that person really is toxic. How do you cut them off? Because it can be different depending on who this is. It could be like a toxic coworker, right? Who's trying to be buddy-buddy with you. It can be an emotionally exhausting cousin. It can be a fake friend. There are different approaches for these different types of relationships. Now, let's start with the slow fade. This is for someone that you're not that close with. Maybe you used to be close friends with this person, but you've kind of grown apart over the years. Now it's mostly likes online or, hey, we should catch up every now and then. It's not that serious, right? And it's actually the easiest way to cut someone off. The slow fade. There's no need for some dramatic fallout. Naturally let the dynamic fizzle out, okay? Don't reach out to make plans. If they reach out, be like, I'm busy, what, Gently exit the chat. This is for people who you don't really owe an explanation to. You don't really need that closure in the same way that you do with someone who you are very close to. And some signs that it's working is that person stops initiating as well. They don't reach out. And that kind of proves that it was one-sided anyway. Or let's talk about the honest conversation. This is for someone who you really think there might be a chance that you can fix things, right? That they might listen to you, or you need closure because it's someone close to you. You can actually prep for this. You can write down all of your thoughts. You can write down what's bothering you. Write down patterns, what's not working for you. You don't have to show this to them. This is not for them. This is for you. I care about you, but this is not a healthy relationship anymore. These are some patterns I've noticed. Just write it down so that you're prepared, especially if it's someone very close, like a family member. Also, toxic people don't really take this kind of feedback well. So prepare for the crocodile tears, the projection, the screaming, the crying, whatever they do. They might try to twist your words. All of this is proof that you're doing the right thing by walking away, right? Another way to do this is the hard hard block. This is for someone who has repeatedly violated your boundaries. This person does not deserve a conversation. They don't. Block. We're talking about liars. We're talking about manipulators. Someone who has betrayed you. Someone who lies to your face. Block them. Especially if you're no longer friends in real life, why would you follow this person? It's not time for a goodbye message. It's time for a block. Delete. Done. Because sometimes people are so toxic that just opening the door for another conversation, that's opening the door for more manipulation. It's not worth it. You do not owe closure to someone who hurt you on purpose. Ask yourself, would you let someone punch you in the face twice because the first time they said sorry, my bad, and then they punch you again? Does that sound like a good idea? Or would you walk away the first time? If it happens once, it'll probably happen again. Maybe you're a second chance type of person. I'm not. There's also the social media detox. So much of our mental clutter comes from what we see online nowadays. If something happened, there is no reason for you to be looking at their posts, for you to be following them, for them to be following you. Again, maybe you don't want to block them. You can mute them. They won't know. Unfollow them. You can whatever. But you can also block them. And again, don't care about their reaction. What are they going to think if I unfollow? Girl, that is not your problem. That is not your business. That is out of your control. What you can control is your reaction. And your reaction should be a lack of a reaction. Block, done. Or in the real world, I'm no longer going to tolerate that disrespect. Goodbye. Let them worry about it. Their problem with you is their problem, not yours. Let go of the resentment, of the anger, not for them, for yourself, without letting them back in to do it all over again. Just because you are healing does not mean you have to reopen the door. You do not owe them that. You don't owe them anything. You don't have to let yourself become a doormat with a smile. Yes, let's go through all of that again. Toxic people like this, they might try to hit you with the line of, oh, I thought we were over this. I thought you forgave me. Yeah, that doesn't mean we're besties again. You can absolutely be a loving, forgiving person without letting toxic people back into your life. Some people are meant to be in your life for a season, not a lifetime. Or the people, by the way, who get upset about your growth, about you changing. Oh, you've changed. Yeah, that's the point. If they're mad about your growth, they were benefiting from the version of you that stayed stuck, okay? If they're upset when you're becoming a better version of yourself, if you're surrounded by people who are not ambitious, all they want to do is stay on the couch, right? They are not taking accountability. They have no passions in life. You're going to become that. Even if you think I'm completely different, I would never become that kind of person. Doesn't matter who I surround myself with. It does matter who you surround yourself with. Surround yourself with people who inspire you, who are also as ambitious as you or more, and who are happy when you grow, who are proud of you, not jealous. And do not confuse missing the memory of that toxic person with missing that person. Actually, when you've gone from level 10 stress to 0, you glow up. That could be physically, yeah, with your overall appearance, right? How confident you are, how you walk into a room. All of that is going to change for the better. You're going to feel lighter because you're no longer managing someone else's mood. You're no longer thinking about every word, every message through the lens of, will this upset them? Or you're bracing for the next passive aggressive comment. When you're done with that, you're going to feel it. You're going to feel so much better. The best part though is when you let go of these relationships, you make room for people who do not need to be babysat. People who do not try to pressure you into doing something you're uncomfortable with. Drinking and smoking, for example. I started to attract people who were driven, had similar values, right? You make space for those individuals. When you stop shrinking yourself for people who don't get you, you're going to become a magnet for those who actually do. When you decide that mutual respect and honesty are non-negotiable, you will never go back. You will never let anyone else disrespect you like that. Because here's the thing about so many toxic people, they're not outright monsters. They twist just enough to make you second guess yourself. Sometimes they apologize just enough to keep you hanging on. They sprinkle in just enough good times to make you think, oh, maybe I'm overreacting. Maybe it's not that deep. Well, if they're really toxic, it is that deep. You'll know when something is off when they repeat that behavior over and over and over again. It's not just a bad day, it's a pattern. It's who that person is. The length of time also does not override the lack of respect. You might have had a beautiful plant on your shelf and it might be rotting and completely dead. Are you going to keep that around because you used to love it? It used to look so beautiful. Are you going to keep it around because of the memories? No, you're going to get a new plant. I've had to throw away a lot of rotten plants. Some of my plants have died. And I've tossed them. That's so dramatic. You have to let it go. Changing is good. Becoming a person who knows their self-worth is excellent. Someone might not like that though. Someone might look at that and say, but you've changed and I can't walk all over you now. Okay, bye. So if your glow up makes someone else uncomfortable, good riddance. That's on them. Also, some people say, well, cutting people off like that is immature. No, what's immature is playing fake for years. Smiling through disrespect because you're scared to be too confrontational, to bring anything negative up. Pretending everything's fine when it's clearly not. That is immature. You don't need to do a full PowerPoint presentation on why you're distancing yourself from a truly toxic person. Sometimes you just do. And you don't owe explanations to people who were never interested in hearing your side when it mattered. You're allowed to walk away. You can let them talk. You can let them say you're cold, you're a meanie, you're selfish. Let them gossip. Because one day when you're surrounded by people who actually respect you, who actually make you feel confident, who make you feel like you can be yourself around them, who lift you up, you're gonna look back and you're gonna realize it was all worth it. And that's all for today's video, guys. You let me know if you've ever experienced this in the comments below. Also remember to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you can see more videos like this, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye.